Good morning. Lots of technical difficulties this morning. Let's see if we're staying up here. Oh, tricky technology. Maybe we'll stay. Okay. Hi. Today we're talking for our Tuesday coffee chat. We're talking about kind of the second part of what we've been talking about trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. And the way we're going to talk about it today, last week we talked about sleep hygiene, right? So if you're doing all of those things and you're still having trouble sleeping, and honestly with everything that's going on in the world, you might be having an unusual bout of trouble sleeping. And so we're going to talk about some plant medicine, some remedies, some things that you can do today, or as fast as you can get to like your local Sprouts or Amazon order can get to you in order to fix it, right? When sleep hygiene isn't enough, when your room is dark and quiet and cool temperature, and when you haven't touched a device for 1 or 2 hours and you haven't been watching stressful things before bed and your mind is calm and quiet and you're doing all of those steps that I talked about last week. So we're going to talk about what to do when that doesn't work, because sleep is critical, right? We talked about that last week. I like to use the analogy of a grocery store at night. When you pull up, right, it looks like nothing is going on, but then when you go inside, everybody's working and restocking the shelves and making sure everything's good for the next day. Well, that's kind of what your human suit does at night, right? Your pineal gland sends out the melatonin, all those stress hormones start to calm down, your voluntary muscle movement ability and nervous system starts to calm down, and your body starts to restock hormones and process big emotions and move through stress and restock that immune system with all it needs to fight the good fight the next day, right? So when you don't sleep, either by design or by having your body stuck in this perpetual state of sleeplessness or lack of sleep, then you get stuck in inflammation, immune system problems, including autoimmunity and chronic illness, hormone disruption, autoimmune triggers, the list goes on and on and on. And that's why sleep is one of the priorities in the method that I use to help people learn to heal their body with autoimmune. And also, as we're going through this, remember that sleep disturbance, sleeplessness, even though it gets a fancy diagnosis in conventional medicine, sleep is a symptom, right? It's a symptom of a downstream problem. It's not just that you can't sleep or you're broken or any of those things. Okay. So hopefully, I can't tell because I'm having to use my phone because again, Facebook did an update and now Chrome doesn't work with Facebook Live. So I can't tell if you're asking questions. So if I don't get your questions here, then I'll come back and answer them. I do want to mention that last week I got a lot of questions about, people saying, I got a lot of comments saying that, thank you for the sleep hygiene. Once I fixed that fixed it, right? But like I said, we're in a really high stress world right now. And so I also got a lot of questions about, I can't sleep, now what, right? So one, I want to make sure you're doing the sleep hygiene because that is critical. It's really, really important. And I want you to be real honest with yourself. Are you actually doing all 6 of those things? Another thing I want to touch base on is that I get messages that my phone is my only connection to my friends, my family, the world around me right now. And so I want to encourage you not to use that excuse for those last 2 hours before bed, okay? So those last 2 hours before bed, it's totally fine to put your phone on silent or night mode or mute or turn it off entirely. It wasn't that long ago before we weren't reachable every minute of every day. So I encourage you to take that step for sure. So now let's go through some exact remedies, okay? So if you fall in the boat of having trouble falling asleep, even with improved hygiene, so you lay in bed and 20, 30, 45 minutes go by and you're still staring at the ceiling, okay? The quick fix here, well, one, I'll tell you, I see this a lot because of extended use of anti-inflammatory medications. So things like steroids, especially with my autoimmune clients, things like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, so things like Advil or ibuprofen. I also see this a lot with people that are on high blood pressure medication. So the quick fix here, again, this is not to be used long-term, is melatonin. And that is dosed very, very carefully and used about 30 minutes before head is on the pillow, okay? So you want to make sure you use it for a very short period of time. Again, it's just to get you enough sleep so that you can make other changes, okay? So use for a very short period of time, like a week or less. Use the lowest dose and then titrate up or increase it up from there. Another thing to consider is that melatonin is one of three sources. It is either chemical, so it's just made in a factory, made in a lab. It is bovine, or it is porcine, so it's either made from a cow or a pig. So you want to skip all those, otherwise you're adding things like hormones, right? Otherwise my chair is uncomfortable today. So otherwise you're adding things like hormones or other toxic things that could be in those products. So you want to focus on herbal melatonin. So herbal toning, because technically it's not melatonin. And if that's you and you don't know where to find that, then drop me a comment and I can add some links for you. Usually you can find it at Albertsons, your local health food store. Those are Albertsons. Sprouts and Amazon are your local health food store. So again, this is used for a very short period of time, because if you continue taking melatonin, then that pineal gland that we talked about last week that's right in the center of your brain and starts sort of the magic of falling asleep, that pineal gland won't be able to fire off that melatonin. Now, if you don't have trouble falling asleep, so that was for people who have trouble falling asleep. If you don't have trouble falling asleep, but you wake up in the middle of the night and can't easily fall back asleep, then you might have, instead of an insufficient supply of melatonin at the beginning of the night, you might have an insufficient supply at the middle of the night, right? So it could just fall off. And so what happens there is that your pineal gland isn't making enough or creating a steady flow of melatonin. So if you're in that camp, taking melatonin before bedtime isn't going to help, right? It's just going to make you fall asleep faster and you're still going to wake up in the middle of the night. Hope you'll have some coffee too. So if you take more melatonin, which is what I see people do a lot, they're like, man, it's not working, it's not lasting long enough, so I'm going to take more melatonin. What happens when you do that is that you still wake up, or you sleep all the way through the night and then you wake up with that groggy, foggy feeling, right? That groggy, foggy, hungover feeling the next day. So the key to that is to use a precursor like 5-HTP. The body creates melatonin from something called serotonin. You might have heard of that. It's a happiness hormone or happiness neurotransmitter. And then if you keep going backwards up the chain, serotonin comes from tryptophan, which is an amino acid. So 5-HTP helps you with that precursor to serotonin. And if you don't have a whole lot of other things going on, if you don't have a whole lot of other physiological issues that are going to sort of take away from your body's ability to process that stuff, then taking it a little bit before bedtime, so about 2 hours before bedtime, right about dinner time, your body can do the steps to convert that to melatonin and help that pineal gland provide the melatonin that you need all through the night. Now, 5-HTP does have some caveats to it, right? So you don't always want to take 5-HTP. There are some things to consider, so I encourage you to jump on either for a free consultation with me or a quick sleep clinic visit, and we can sort those out. The next kind of bucket that I hear a lot is I have trouble with overnight hot flashes, okay? And this is particularly for women who are not perimenopausal or menopausal, because then there's a whole other set of things that could be going on, and it's really too in-depth to do in this sort of format, right? But generally, this means that there is a upset in your cortisol rhythms. Remember, cortisol is that stress hormone, that stress neurotransmitter. Very important, but like anything, you can have too much of a good thing. So usually that means that your cortisol levels are rising very, very early, and they're rising to meet the day aggressively. And so there are a lot of techniques to relieve that trouble. One is a stress relief, right? So usually I say people need swift and immediate stress relief, active stress prevention or mitigation. But then also plant medicine to help that would be calming adaptogen herbs, right? So something like holy basil, ashwagandha, magnolia, or L-theanine. Those are all herbs that you can take if you're having trouble with overnight hot flashes. Again, generally not for perimenopausal or menopausal women. Now, if the hot flashes are earlier in the night, so usually before midnight, before 1 or 2 a.m., and especially if the next morning you get up and you're like starving for breakfast, then it's generally the opposite problem. It could be low cortisol or even low blood sugar during your body's normal fasting time, right? Our bodies normally fast overnight while we're asleep. So generally, and this is a fun part, you get to have a snack before bed. So I suggest like an apple with almond butter. If you can eat dates, some people say they taste like big raisins. I think they taste like candy, but you can eat a date. You can eat half of an avocado. And this, again, it'll temporarily fix the problem. It's just masking a symptom naturally with plant medicine, so that you can do the investigation that you need to get to the root issue. Now, if you have full-fledged insomnia, you don't fall asleep easy, you don't stay asleep, you don't wake up feeling rested, then I recommend a combination of melatonin, again, within those caveats already mentioned. So you want to make sure that it is an herbal-based melatonin, plus 5-HTP. And yes, you can take the two together. So you would take 5-HTP earlier in the day to give your body the ingredients it needs to start that stair step from tryptophan to serotonin to melatonin that's produced naturally in your body. And then take a wee little dose of melatonin at night. It's really super helpful, especially when combined with the sleep hygiene steps that I talked about last time. You can also listen to those, episode 116 on the Naturalistic Nurse podcast. Again, that's just a temporary solution. And then once sort of your sleep's in order for a few days, you can get your wits back about you and begin to focus on really healing your body. If you are having trouble getting stressful thoughts out of your brain at bedtime or can't sleep during the night because of pain, and I don't mean deep chronic pain always, but it could be that you toss and turn a lot because when you lay on this side, your shoulder hurts. When you lay on this side, your hip hurts and that sort of thing. Usually that's caused by an imbalance of a couple neurotransmitters, those little chemical messengers in your body. Generally, it's glutamate, which is an excitatory, so it amps things up neurotransmitter, and GABA, which is an inhibitory, so it brings everything down. Another possibility is that energetically it can be emotions stuck in the body, and you don't really hear those emotions until the whole world's quiet, and then you can finally hear them or feel and hear your body with that information. So a reliable solution here is to take adaptogenic herbs, right? So 2 hours before bedtime, and then take calming herbs 1 to 2 hours before bedtime, okay? So I've seen a whole lot of blends come and go. One of my very favorites is ashwagandha with holy basil. And then you could do 1 to 3 capsules of those depending on the milligrams, plus valerian root right at bedtime. So earlier, 2-3 hours before bed, you're gonna take ashwagandha and holy basil. And then right at bedtime, or about 30 minutes before bedtime, you can take valerian root. Again, be careful. So if you are ingesting a whole lot of things with glutamate in it, it's gonna make this balance more difficult to achieve with these plant medicines. And things that have glutamate are like diet soda. Lots of diet products, sugar-free products have glutamate in them. So try to avoid those products, right? If it's more of that mental emotional pain, so if you're laying awake and then that mental emotional stuff just hits you like a wave when the world is silent, then I would suggest doing some emotional clearing techniques. If you have questions about that, you can drop them in the comments and I can give you some solutions for your specific issues, because emotional clearing techniques run the gamut and it really just depends on what the emotion is, how you got it, how it got trapped, and that sort of thing. The last one I have for you today is if you have trouble sleeping after you have had a cocktail or 2 or 3 or 4 in the evening. And this happens because alcohol interferes with the same GABA glutamate balance that I just mentioned. And if you're using like diet soda as a mixer, then that just, or any sugar-free mixer, then that just adds to the problem. Now, what happens is there's sedative effects of the alcohol, right? And that increases the GABA early in sleep hours, right? Remember, the GABA is the bringing it down, the inhibitory, right? So once that's processed through your liver, which takes about an hour per drink, of course, there's a wide fluctuation. That's a spectrum, if you will. Some people process much faster, some people process much slower. But once it's processed through your liver, you're wide awake. And that's because your glutamate has been forced down by that GABA, and then bing, it just rebounds like pinging a rubber band. And then you're wide awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, ideally, if alcohol is causing that problem for you always, then just stop drinking alcohol. That's what I did. I haven't drank alcohol in a little bit over 2 years. So, you know, that sober life can totally happen. But if that's not for you, for whatever reason, then you can add a little bit of taurine at bedtime, especially on nights that you've had a cocktail. You can take a little bit of taurine, a little bit of vitamin C, and it will help increase that GABA receptor, allow the GABA receptors to bind a little bit better and force that glutamate rebound, if you will, to stop. So don't worry, you don't have to remember all of these steps. You can grab these in my free PDF download, audreychristie.com/autoimmune. It talks about sleep and a whole lot of other things. Next week, we'll be talking more about stress, which I think is probably pretty valid in these times. You can download 5 steps to take today to stop autoimmune disease and get ahead of that. Also, I have quick sleep consults available, super inexpensive compared to regular visits. And regular visits are on wait lists right now. So to wrap all this up, let your body heal each night, right? If you're not routinely sleeping, it is a priority, like #1 priority to fix. If you're not sleeping and you're like, how can I fix my diet? All of these things. No, sleep has to happen first, okay? Otherwise, you're just fighting a losing battle, mentally, physically, emotionally, energetically. So thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out. If you have questions, please leave them below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that at the end of today, you can leave your world around you, wherever you are, in your community, in your home, wherever that is, just a little bit better than you found it. Be well.